Okay, my name is Jennings. I'm the Vice President for International Business Wales for the Middle East.
Tell us a bit more about International Business Wales and how do you support SMBs?
International Business Wales is the trade and investment arm of the Welsh Assembly Government in the UK. We help small, medium-sized businesses through a range of services. We help them to develop in Wales. We have a network of international trade advisors that can work very closely with them from a very early stage to help them to prepare for exporting. And then once they identify the market that they're interested in, we can help them here in the market. The services we offer range from helping them with trade missions, exhibitions, participating at a whole range of trade fairs and visits to the market.
What exactly is your International Trade Opportunity Scheme and how actively is it pursued in the MENA region?
International Trade Opportunities is one of our key services. It basically helps us to work with companies to help them research the market that they're interested in. We work with a range of experts in the market. So we have 20 different private sector consultants that work with me throughout the MENA region. What we do is we work with companies to develop a brief. They tell us exactly what it is they want. So we start with a completely blank sheet of paper. That can include researching the market, giving them information on competition, on opportunities, looking for partners, agents, distribution partners, joint venture partners, even to the extent of identifying a potential sponsor if that's necessary. We then bring them to the market and then we introduce them to those companies to the point where they actually start to do business. So it is an introduction service, it's very much matchmaking, but we work with them hand in hand from day one to the point where they actually start to deliver business.
Does it also work the other way around, regional businesses that want to make inroads into?
We do work with regional companies, not under the International Trade Opportunities Scheme as such, but we do have a very strong FDI arm and service. So we work with companies here that are looking to identify investment opportunities in Wales, and then we will work on a very bespoke system with them. So we will look at what their requirements are and we will match those to potential opportunities in Wales.
Do you have some sort of membership? How many members do you have?
It's not really a membership because we're a government department, so we work with every single company if they want to work with us in Wales. Currently, I've been working with approximately 500 companies over the last four or 5 years. So those are active exporters or people that have expressed an interest in exporting to the Middle East.
Right. And if a business wanted to get in touch with you, how is there a website?
We have a website. It's ibwales.com. They just log on and they can find my address by searching for our overseas offices.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned regional partners and experts. Do you also help Welsh and Mid-Eastern companies overcome cultural differences in the way they conduct business?
We work with our clients at every single level. So people that are unfamiliar with the market, we will help them culturally, we will give them advice, we'll basically handhold them every step of the way to make sure that they're not making any mistakes. You know, there are cultural differences in this region, not so much in Dubai, but when we take companies into Saudi Arabia or we take them into other countries such as Egypt, Kuwait, then certainly there's more cultural issues that we need to advise them on, but we work very closely.
Is there a need for your partners to be maybe Sharia compliant in some of these countries?
If our companies are dealing in the financial services sector, then there may be instances where they do need to be Sharia compliant. We do have companies that are actually dealing with training in Islamic banking, so they have all of those issues with Sharia compliance. But normally, in terms of the rest of the sectors that we deal with, it's very rare that they need that kind of compliance.
When it comes to the Mideast, world opinion and economic policies swing to and fro depending on politics, or some might say oil as well. How conducive do you think this is to long-term business relations between the West and Middle East, and what comes first according to you, business or politics?
Well, I think Britain, if I talk about Britain as a whole, because Wales is part of the United Kingdom, we have had an extremely long relationship with this region, and in particular with the UAE. And many of the companies that we deal with have been here for 25, 30 years. So in terms of the long-term approach, I think most of our companies are very aware that you need to develop partnerships. You cannot just come and dip into the market to do business. So the long-term view is a given. Companies that we're talking to, again, we advise them on having long-term strategic approaches to this region. Not based on politics, not based on the oil, although oil is a factor in terms of companies coming out here to do business in the oil and gas sector. We are a government department, of course, but our companies are free to do business in any way they choose or with any partners they choose. So we don't impose restrictions on them, other than those imposed on us by international bodies such as the United Nations.
Right. Again, Western media often portrays a very one-dimensional image of the Mideast. If it's not regional tension, then it's the downfall of Dubai, which is the current. So how is IBW able to overcome certain reservations or misconceptions that Welsh businesses might have regarding expanding to this region?
Well, firstly, I think that in my time, I've been here 9 years, I've seen quite a positive image being portrayed back in the British press about Dubai in particular. And that in turn has actually led to an increase in the numbers of businesses coming here, the number of tourists. When I first arrived here, there were 25,000 British people living in the UAE. Now there's 125,000. And a lot of that is down to the positive press coverage that has been given to this region. International Business Wales, we're now looking at giving very much a view from the ground, because I think it's important to have a view from people that are actually living and working here and avoid any kind of sensationalism. So we are going to launch our own e-newsletter. Now that will go out to our clients back in Wales, that will go to people in the region, and it will allow us to talk about the region in a balanced way, to talk about where the opportunities are, what's actually going on here in the region, but also talk about the companies that we're working with that are actually doing well, so we can start to talk about good news stories, and good news stories will spread that message, I think, back to our clients back in the UK as well.
Which industries do you support primarily, and has the recent crisis led to a shift in the kinds of businesses or business models?
Well, Wales has moved from being predominantly an industrial country that depended very much on its coal mining industry and steel industry. Over the years, it's changed now into a very kind of high-tech, innovative country with lots of sectors in terms of biotechnology, IT, healthcare. We work within a lot of those sectors, but predominantly our main focus at the moment is on building construction materials, innovative materials, not just bricks and mortar, but some very good, interesting products. Healthcare, IT, creative media, environmental technologies as well, education and training. It would cover quite a broad spread, but in doing that, we then focus our attention on bringing companies to exhibitions such as Arab Health, where we have a pavilion. We have a pavilion also at the Big Five exhibition and at Gulf Food, so we have some very good food and drink companies as well.
You mentioned construction. I mean, with the current crisis happening in real estate, do you think that's viable, or has that?
I think the thing that's viable at the moment is that the exchange rate is very much in favour of British exporters. So companies are still building here. There's this kind of misconception that Dubai all of a sudden everything's stopped, and it hasn't. There are things that come to a slight standstill, certainly where people are renegotiating prices and they're renegotiating contracts. That gives our companies an opportunity to come in with some innovative, low-cost but high-quality products. So no, I think we're still very much seeing this region as having a long-term construction industry. Not just here for Dubai and the UAE, but in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, because my office covers the whole of the MENA region. So we have to take a very broad view as to where we put our direct our companies.